I like an audience, like to perform for an audience. Hi everyone, it's Tatiana, your neighborhood plant mama. I have a tragedy to tell you guys about. One of my favorite plants unfortunately has some root rot. Left some time for gasps and ahs and a moment to grab your tissues so we can all cry together. A few days ago, I actually repotted this plant. It was in a smaller pot that was about half its size, and that's when I noticed that it had some issues, and I really just did not want to deal with it then, so I kind of just potted it as it was into a larger pot with fresh soil, and I'm here now to finish the job. I promised myself I would, and sometimes you just gotta do things you don't want to do, face the reality, face the facts. Oh, okay. Well, that was pretty easy to deal with. Hadn't even started yet. So basically I'm going to take it out of its pot, check out the roots, and hopefully fix it up a little bit. I'm going to just... Ooh, take it out. Okay, well that was good. So I basically had, when I repotted it, just like plopped what I had before onto some fresh soil. But now I'm going to take kind of a closer look at the roots and hopefully maybe knock off any of the damaged areas or anything that's going on there that doesn't look too great. And hopefully she will be good to go. I actually practiced pronouncing the scientific name of this plant just before this so I could let you guys know. This is a boat lily, also known as a Moses in the cradle, something like that. The scientific name is, oh crap, I just blanked. Tradescantia spathacea. I'm gonna listen to it again and then say it. Let me say it by reading it and then let me listen to the pronunciation and see if it gets better. Tradescantia spathacea.
Tradescantia spathacea.
Tradescantia spathacea. That was great. Okay. Well, that's why I call it a boat lily. We can't really see a lot of what's going on with these roots. So I have a bucket of water here that I'm now realizing I filled a little too much. And if you guys went to 6th grade science, you guys know about water displacement. So let me dump some out. I'm going to try to like rinse some of this dirt off just so I can get a closer look at what's going on with the roots. Obviously don't want them to soak up too much water, but at this point we've already done damage. I haven't actually dealt with a lot of root rot personally. Not a lot of my plants have had it, and it's not really that bad here. I can show you guys a close-up that I took the other day of what this looks like. There is just like some browning on the roots. It's really not that bad. Nothing feels particularly mushy right now. What if I did all of this and the roots were actually fine? Classic. I'm not getting a ton of like mushiness going on actually. It is brown, which was my like indicator that it didn't quite look right next to some of the whiter roots. I feel like it is soaking up water like a sponge. I think I'm gonna take this to the sink and do a more thorough kind of spray it with water and see what we have. I have rinsed off as much as I could from the roots here. I'm a little disheartened by it because a lot of it is brown, but let's back up and let's talk about what is root rot. First of all, what causes it? How do you know you have it, etc. Root rot is caused by kind of keeping your plants in standing water, and it just starts to rot, get mushy. This can happen when you don't have drainage holes in your pots, which unfortunately a lot of my pots don't, because I kind of like what I'm putting them in, etc. The pot that I actually had this one in did have drainage holes and it still caused this. So, you know, it can happen. How do you know you have it? How do you know anything? The internet. Root rot is kind of when the roots are brown and mushy. You can kind of see it here instead of white and healthy. The reason that I think this is more of a mild case of root rot is because a lot of the roots, I'm feeling them, don't feel particularly mushy. I still see it kind of like at the ends here, you'll see a lot of white, and it's more like I can scrape away with my finger gently the kind of brown stuff, which could very well mean that it's dirt, that it's not root rot or whatever. I do think there is some rotting. I have been trying to pull away as much of this kind of brownish stuff as I can. So this here to me is a root that is completely brown, kind of mushy, and I'm just going to pull it away. But I don't want to pull away too many of the roots so that there's nothing to kind of sustain the plant anymore. I've slowly just been kind of going around, gently pulling with my fingers, gently scraping away what I can. I'm able to scrape a lot of this away and reveal a white healthy root underneath. I don't think that this is a death sentence for this plant, just based on what I see, based on I haven't been getting any yellowing or falling off leaves from this plant. It really was something I noticed when I checked the roots, which is why it's important to check your roots, get the plant out of its pot, inspect it, take a look, because you never know if you can kind of deal with a problem before it becomes a problem, if you know what I'm saying. Generally, you're supposed to kind of cut away any of the infected areas because it's kind of like a fungus that will spread around the plant if you don't properly deal with it. But I am kind of wary of snipping off too many of its major roots. This here, which could very well be a rotted root, but it doesn't feel mushy. Like, it feels how roots feel, you know? It's like solid, firm. It's not in a bad enough stage where I feel like I have to just chop all of this away. I'm definitely gonna keep a close eye on this plant and what's going on here. But at this point, I think I'm just going to pot it in the fresh soil, not give it water for a while. And I'm also going to mix into the soil a little bit of cinnamon because I've had luck putting cinnamon on the top of the spoiled soil to deter kind of like fungus growth and things like that. And I also have heard that cinnamon helps roots grow, kind of speed up the root growth process. So I'm hoping that putting some into the soil can kind of help deter any fungus that might be growing as part of this kind of root rot thing, and also kind of encouraging new roots to grow as well. If I do recall, when I got this plant, it did have kind of roots that were slightly discolored like this as well. So I don't know if it's always been rotten or this is just what the plant looks like. If you guys can please let me know, like, this is a death sentence, chop all of those roots off and start fresh, let me know, because I definitely want to learn. Right now, I feel that this plant will do okay now that I know that it needs to kind of not be soaking in water, to kind of let it dry out a little bit more. The more I look at it, the more I'm like, these roots look not great. But here's the thing, guys. This plant has been doing really, really well. It's been doing really, really well. It looks really good. Until I am seeing signs that it's not doing as well, I'm not going to like stage 10 right now of fuck, I need to fix this. I'm going to like stage 5 of, okay, let's try this. Incremental. I'm doing it incrementally because, you know, that's what we're allowed to do now that we're home all the time. I can really closely monitor it and make sure everything's okay. Kind of done my best here. Going to repot now. So again, this pot doesn't necessarily, okay, I'm not gonna say it doesn't necessarily, it doesn't have drainage, but again, it's double the size of the other pot, and I'm going to have the roots kind of sitting pretty high up, and I'm not going to be watering this nearly as much. I also have a sponge domed at the bottom to create a little bit of space between the bottom of the pot and the soil on top, so it can kind of drain down, as well as a rock there to create some drainage. I'm also going to, very cautious, use my moisture meter and everything like that when I'm watering this, and make sure it's completely dried out before I water. I will keep you guys updated on how this plant's doing. Like I said, I have mixed in some fresh, drier soil. I'm sprinkling some cinnamon here, like just cinnamon you get, as well as in that soil there. This is literally from Trader Joe's, just ground cinnamon, smells delish. Giving this a stir in here and in here. I will give it a little spray, just some spritz, to help it acclimate to the soil. But again, I'm not like doing a watering where I'm soaking everything through, because I do want it to dry out. But I'm just gonna do a very light spritz of a solution I have of apple cider vinegar and water, because it'll also deter any fungus gnats or kind of pests that way. Packing it in nice and tight. And there we have it, our repotted TS for short, or boat lily, I don't even know. Looking good, and I will be monitoring it very closely and keep you guys updated on how the plant is doing. All right, thanks so much for watching. Bye!